Hey, Dave, how are you?
Better
Pleasure to
than
talk to you guys.
Good to talk to you. How can we help?
All right, so I've been listening to you for the past month or so, and before that, I was buying real estate, but I think you would disagree. I'm just going to lay out what I have. I have 52K in the money market, 8,000 in checking, and I have a credit card debt of 9,000 and a car loan of 21,000. My wife, her only debt is her car, and we have a house that we owe 426 on, and my three rental properties I owe 125 on, 126, and 110, but they're all rented out. So I was going to buy another piece of real estate, but what do you think?
I think you should take all that money in that money market and knock out all of your debt and leave you with a nice emergency fund and slow down on all of this real estate investing.
Until you can get some of it paid off.
What's her car debt?
Yeah. Her car debt, she's going to be paid off in 4 months. I'm not sure exactly the number.
You don't know what the balance is?
No, I just know she's going to be done in 4 months. Her payment is
so it's a couple $1,000 then.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you can write a check today and be debt free. Am I understanding you right?
Yeah, but then I mean, I know you're dead against it, but I love having the rental properties and having the money come in. Yeah. But I also understand the Ramsey way.
Well, here, how old are you, John?
34.
Okay. All right. When I was 24, I started buying real estate. And by the time I was 26, I had $4 million worth. I was aggressively buying it. And I was buying really, really good deals. I was buying stuff at 70, 80 cents on the dollar. And so I had good equity positions. Some of the property I put mortgages on, and I was renting. Some of it I had short-term notes on, and I was fixing it and flipping it. During that time, now that was a long time ago, that's back in the 80s, okay? During that time was another, that moment in time, there was a real estate craze. Real estate was the answer to everything like it is right now. Everybody's talking about real estate right now. Everybody in your age group, the 20s and 30s thing, it's all over social media. It's all over everything. It's like the thing to talk about, like you're cool if you're doing real estate right now. You know what I'm talking about. It's everywhere, right?
100%.
It was that way then. And in those days, we didn't have social media, we didn't have the internet, but we had these things called infomercials that would run at night. And a guy would sit by the side of the sea with the waves crashing in and talk about how wealthy he was and how he had bought all this real estate, nothing down. And you could buy his tape set for $3,000 on how to do it and that kind of stuff. There was a bunch of those characters out there. One of them's got a really nice winery now in Napa, Del Dado, and he was one of the biggest ones. And makes a great bottle of wine called The Beast. Side note, but anyway, so I was in this group. There was a group of people that started in each city. There was a guy that went around and got a group of people doing nothing down or low amount down real estate investors club of Nashville. And I was in this club with about 60 people that were doing exactly what you're doing and that were doing what I was doing back then. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they were all buying with as little money as they could put into it and making the rent, collecting the rents and hoping that was going to pay the bills and so forth. Now, here's the reason I tell you that long, long drawn-out story. Mm-hmm. No one from that club 30 years later is rich. None of them.
Okay.
Except two guys.
Wow. So you think the quickest way to be a millionaire?
And both of those guys worked diligently to reverse the process and get out of debt. I went bankrupt while I was in that club. I lost everything at 28 years old.
Yeah.
And so did a whole bunch of those guys. As a matter of fact, the guy that wrote the book called Nothing Down, named Robert Allen, went bankrupt. He filed Chapter 11. Okay? And so the proof is in the pudding. When you visit it 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years later, you can see, okay, did this work? Didn't work. The only ones that worked for were the ones that reversed the process and cleared the debt, like George just told you to do. So I love how aggressive you are. I love that you love real estate. I love real estate. I've got a bunch of it. To this, I mean, after I went broke, I made a bunch of money later, and I own several $100 million of real estate now. I think it's an excellent investment. I like real estate, but 100% of my real estate's paid for. So, George, I mean, I think you're right. I would stop buying. I would clear the personal debt, and I'd clear my mortgages, all of them, including my house. And you've got the ability to do this because, dude, you're a go-getter. You're a guy that gets crap done. But if you don't watch, you're gonna outrun your coverage. And
that's what scares me with John. I'm looking at a guy. He's seeing his cash flow from 3 properties. I see a guy who has $820,000 in debt, and one misstep could tank him.
Oh yeah,
one life situation is all it takes.
Yeah.
And so I understand being kind of starry-eyed with a pile of money, going, well, that means more real estate. I see it as we could get out of debt and reduce our risk and start to attack
You end up with
properties.
all of these properties paid for in 3 to 5 years, including your residence. You can buy another property a year for cash with the cash flow you'll create by doing that. That's what I did the second time. The second time the first one's really hard. You get these 3 paid off, that's really hard. But you get those 3, you get pure cash flow from those, no debt at all. You can buy another $100,000, $200,000 property pretty quick because you'll have enough cash. It just piles up. It snowballs in the right direction, and that cash will snowball for you if you're not giving it all to the bank. But 100% of the time, debt equals risk. More debt equals more risk. Less debt equals less risk. 100% of the time. And that's why all those guys went broke in that collapse.
Well, it's amazing how if you move a little bit slower right now, you can go much faster later on.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what happens. When you get rid of the debt and you have more cash flow, you're going to be able to save up and pay cash for those
properties.
properties.
What others perceive as faster. But, yeah, the percentages shift on you. Because, once I got, a couple of hundred, $500,000 worth of paid for real estate, I got serious debt. I mean, serious cash hitting the bottom line every month. And then I add some income money to that, and I can reach over and buy another one, reach over and buy another one, reach over and buy another one. And that thing gets to moving, and it does. It feels like it accelerates.
Well, then one emergency, the HVAC goes out, some tenant vacancy, you're not freaking out.
Yeah.
You have a great position.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, something could happen like COVID where people don't pay their bills.
Nothing would ever. Oh, wait, that actually happened.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's it.
And then you can't evict them legally?
Oh, yeah, that moratorium on evictions. Yeah. And I'm not going to pay because there's a moratorium on evictions. So good luck with that, landlord. No, but, house is paid for, and when this is lifted, you'll be homeless and I'll have a house. So that's what happened to a couple of them. They tried to play shyster, and we're like, it didn't work out. I had one other come to me that was in a business that was, I had a strip center, and they came to us and said, we're in trouble. Can you help us? Please give us some mercy. And we went, yeah, we can do that. And will you forgive the rent? And I'm like, no, but I'll stop collecting it for now, and you can pay it back later. So, I mean, we can just pay no payments for 4 months, and then we'll pay double payments for 4 months or something like that. Yeah. We'll work it out with you. Because I get where you are, and I don't want you to go broke. I don't want to be the guy who cause you go broke. I'd rather you be alive and pay me the rent, So let's work it out. Let's go no rent for this month, and we'll look at it next month. No rent next month, okay? Because you're still getting Fauci'd. So as long as you're getting Fauci'd, I'll try to help you here.
And you had the margin to do that because you had paid cash.
I don't need payments.
You're not desperate.
And we did have one tenant one time. The old lady, single mom, got terminal cancer. And, I have the margin to be compassionate and not charge her and just turn that house into a ministry for a period of time. It was a horrible thing, horrible process she went through. And she didn't make it. Sad end of the story, But she didn't have a landlord problem because her landlord didn't have a mortgage problem. Hello, see how this works? This is The Ramsey Show.